Smooth Razor. Hello there, beautiful ladies and gentlemen. So in this video I'm going to be giving you a Frost guide. I'll try my best to teach you everything I know about Frost, although this video is not going to cover the cryogenic crown. That's going to be in another video, which is going to come not too long from now. So grab your notepad, grab your popcorn, whatever you have to do. This video is going to be divided into so many chapters, so you can always move around to where you want to be, and you can always come back to the videos. Thanks so much for tuning in once again, and I hope you have a nice time. Character style. Frost is an amazing versatile spacing character. She can play rush down, zoning, or even the counter zoning game, as well as spacing or even set play. She does not exactly excel at every department, but she does decently in all. Her strongest powers being spacing, plus frames, and turn stealing. It can be really tricky to get a turn against a Frost using certain characters, although she is a slow character to an extent. But Smooth Razor, is Frost the right pick for me? Well, now that you have asked, Frost is a character for those who 1. Love versatile characters. If you want a character that can cover all departments, Frost is the character for you. Number 2, for those who hate losing their turns or have a mind for playing around tricky frame data resets. For instance, characters like Joker, Spawn, Johnny Cage are also examples of characters that are good at tricky frame data resets, making it hard for the opponent to get their turn. So if you like this, she's for sure a character for you. Number 3, for those like me that want to spam down 4 on Auger while letting off a diabolical laugh, she's a character for you. Number 4, if you hate getting jumped on, I repeat, if you hate getting jumped on or having opponents fly around the screen, Frost is most definitely the character for you, because she has one of the best aerial control power in Mortal Kombat 11. And finally, if you have a mind for set play, Frost is actually one of the only true set play characters alongside Devourer existing in MK11. So that's that for here, and now let's move on, because if I want to list everything, it's going to take forever. Basic attacks breakdown. All of Frost's buttons are nice and have different uses. First, let's start with the not so good but still usable buttons. First, let's start with her standing one. Her standing one is 7 frames. It can be used as a punishing tool. It lacks range and it whiffs on most of the cast in neutral. It is 0 on block and has a slow 13 frame follow up, which makes it a strong stagger. Sadly, due to its whiffing nature, it cannot be used repeatedly on block, but you can use it off jails, jump-ins, or situations whereby the opponent is highly negative. Now her standing 2 is a 13 frame high, -1 on block, and has a slow 16 frame follow up, making it a strong stagger. Unfortunately, it also works on so many characters, so best use of jails, jump-ins, or situation whereby the opponent is highly negative or negative. The third button on our not so good list is forward 2. Forward 2 is a forward advancing 19 frames lunge attack with great range. It is 0 on block, and when done at a max distance, it can range from +1 to +5 on block. Sadly, forward 2 whiffs even on crouch blocking opponents. As a result, use smartly or you die. And finally, down 2. Down 2 is 10 frames and has poor range. She has way better anti-air buttons like down 3 and down 1, so use down 2 mostly when you want quick damage off conversions. Now let's talk about her amazing buttons. Now back 1. Back 1 is an 11 frame mid. It has amazing range. Although -8 on block, it creates amazing distance between the characters, making it sometimes possible to steal turns or reset neutral. It is also an okay stagger. Back 2 is a 19 frames ranged mid, -4 on block, and an okay stagger, since it goes into a slow 27 frame follow up. It has amazing spacing, allowing you to steal turn or reset neutral in some cases. Standing 3 is an 11 frame double hitting high. As a result, it beats flawless block up 2s. It is also +4 on block, making it an amazing stagger and pressure tool. With weird spacing, it can sometimes get up to +6. Back 3 is a 16 frame low. It leads into a Meterless launcher and can also be used to shimmy opponents, as a low launcher is great against parries. It is -13 on Stagger, but weirdly it can be used as a Stagger, especially online. But be careful. Standing 4 is a 14 frames high. It is 0 on block and a nice Stagger with decent spacing. Pokes and sweep. Down 1 is an 8 frames poke with nice range. It is +15 on hit and has a cancel advantage of 7. Down 3 is an 8 frame poke with a hit advantage of 15 and a cancel advantage of 6. It is amazing at low profiling, which makes it a great anti-air. Down 4 is a 12 frames poke +14 on hit with a cancel advantage of 3. It is normally -9 on block, but at some ranges can go down to -7 on block. Down 4 has a spectacular range, making it one of your best tools to poke opponents with in neutral. It has a crazy active frames of 7, meaning at times opponents are going to run into its active frames. Back 4 is a 12 frames sweep with amazing range. It is just -6 on block with nice pushback, which makes it hard for opponents to take back their turns. Combo attacks break down. Standing 1-3 is -5 on block and a strong stagger 2 because its follow-ups have gaps and are slow. Standing 1-3-4 is an overhead ender which is -2 on block. It has gap which makes for gap covering mind games. Standing 1-3-2 is a +3 ender which becomes -7 when flawless blocked. Great for keeping turn and continuing pressure. On hit, it sends them flying away and at zoning distance. It is a great forward advancing ender. Back 1-2 is -7 on block, has great pushback, range, and is a nice stagger. Back 1-2-1 is a far-reaching -7 ender, which is a high that can be docked in neutral. Its pushback makes it hard for some characters to take their turn. Back 2-2 is a 27 frame mid, which is -5 on block. It is not the best stagger. It has a gap which creates gap mind games. It has an amazing reach which makes the string super difficult to whiff punish. Back 2-2-1-2 is a 19 frames double hitting overhead. It is -15 on block and has a counter KB attached. Its reach is bizarre, being basically full screen. Standing 2-2 is a powerful +5 on block string with nice reach. It can be special cancelled to clip opponents trying to defy its plus frames. Standing 2-2-4 is a -7 ender with great pushback and reach. Standing 2-2-3 is a low ender which is -8 and punishable. Best used on Meaties to clip them pressing after you have whiffed standing 2-2. Standing 3-4-4 is a -5 string with hit advantage of 16, making it a really strong restand tool. Standing 3-4-4-2 is a -8 punishable and interruptible ender, although it's a sneaky overhead that can catch people blocking low. It also creates room for gap covering mind games. Back 3-2 is -5 on block and special cancelable. It leads into a Meterless launcher, but it has a gap. Back 3-2 down +1 is a -16 overhead, only used when the first 2 parts of the string connects, or you die. Standing 4-3 is +3 on block and special cancelable, which creates strong mind games. And now we move on to Gameplan breakdown. This section of the video is going to have multiple topics or points. If a topic links to another, you are going to see a pop-up of the previous topic it builds upon. And now, let's get started. Keeping your turn. There's a reason a lot of Frost players are known for never blocking, and this comes from the game plan known as keeping your turn, although some of them overdo it and look scrubby as a result. As a Frost player, you want to be dealing a lot of cheap damage and getting 2 to 3 turns before the opponent can get 1. And this is usually possible because of the distance and the frame data on hard tools. Although you have to be smart at times and block after your turn, this helps to create a mind game. You are going to be mixing up blocking, backdashing, poking, jumping, specials, and pressing buttons together to keep your opponents guessing what you're gonna do after your turn/offense.
Back 1-2-1 example.
I'll be teaching you the mind games after back 1-2-1-2. This would help you not just for turn keeping but for optimizing the string. With a mix of blocking, flawless blocking, backdashes, jumping, pokes, strings, and specials after the back 1-2-1-2, you can always keep your opponents guessing what's going to happen after the string.
Trunks made this jam.
And now you've seen how blocking and flawless blocking helps against the fast, mid, and reversal options. And that's where the second part of the mind game is going to come in. As you can see, when you block the punishable reversal options, you can go for a punish. If you block the safe one like the Noob Cyber's back 2, Jax's back 4-3, you're still going to be able to get a strike throw game because it's now your turn, right? While meter intensive options like Rain's Qatar cost meters, so they're not going to really do that a lot. Now that they're feeling uncomfortable with their fast and reversal mid options because you're blocking or flawless blocking, they are going to like to use that as a conditioning tool. So now they know that they have a fast mid reversal option, so they're going to use this as a conditioning tool and actually go for the options where you can jump out of, backdash, or actually interrupt. For instance, now a Kano is going to like to go for a forward 1 or other options. The Noob Cybers is going to go for slides, back 3, and probably forward 2, knowing that they've conditioned you with the option that you can poke out of or mash out of. And this is a really important mind game to be good at as a frost player, because a lot of our tools that leaves you at weird spacing, like this is barely -4, right? And if you do this, you have +3. If you do it a bit closer, you have -8. You do the amplification, you have -1. So a lot of her spacing / turn stealing mind game revolves around this exact mind game. Either they try to condition you with a fast reversal tool, or they go for options of fireballs to clip you in the air jumping. So for instance, they're going to go for a fireball, you're going to dodge that, right? But in a situation whereby they stop going for the fast reversal option, that's for the characters that have it, and start trying to take their turn normally, that's when you start doing the wave punish, the pokes, the jump back, and every annoying thing, the dash back auger. So a lot of frost mind games going to revolve around this exact same situation. Now let me show you a few more examples, then we'll move on to the next option.
Trunks with the sauce.
So now that we have covered turn stealing or turn keeping by the back 1-2-1, this is actually a foundation for most of the things you're going to be doing with frost, because a lot of the times it evolves around the same poking, jumping, backdash, or wave punish mind game. That's when you're trying to keep turn with frost and Outspacing and stuff like that. So now let's get into Stagger Pressure, one of the best ways to keep your turn with any character is always the stagger pressure. For instance, standing 1, back 1, 2, 1 is kind of like 2 turns. You do standing 1, 3, that's 2 turns. If you can get a backdash, you see you've kept your turn. After getting 2 turns, you still kept your turn. You get what I'm trying to say? If you do a standing 3, back 1, 2, for instance, you get to down 1, you just got away with about 2 turns with the help of the plus frames. You kept, plus frames are one of the best ways to keep turns. We'll get to that soon. So always incorporate stagger pressure into your turn keeping mind game. When it comes to keeping your turn, one of the things I must talk about are the augers. The augers get higher plus frames with distance. So if you do a back 2 into the auger, here is -2. Here is +3, as you can see. Down for auger, +2. So a lot of the times while trying to keep your turn, you're going to be doing something like back, this. Now the amplification is -4, but it leaves you at the spacing, which creates the mind game of the jump back, the poke to interrupt an approach, the downfalls to interrupt approach. Let's say you do this. You can even do a standing 1, 3 if you read your channel dash up grab, or you just block if you want to keep safe, or flawless block their ranged mid, whatever. You get the mind game from previously. So the auger and the amplifier or the auger are going to be a big part of your game plan when it comes to keeping your turn, because it gets really tricky for the opponent to get a turn. For instance, Sub-Zero goes into a downfall. I could keep my turn by actually whiff punishing him right there. Let's see. Let's record Frost real quick. Oh, that was a mistake, sorry. So let's say the sub tried to do a dash up downfall. I can whiff punish for a combo. Even without a dash, let's do a dash up. As you can see right there, I actually whiff punish Sub-Zero for a combo. So always incorporate the auger spacing to keeping your turn, because the auger instantly creates the situation whereby it makes it hard for the opponent to get a turn. At times they're actually just going to let you get away with it because they just get tired of it. But always remember to block once in a while and do not be predictable. Now, plus frame from the augers. Still on the topic of augers, the plus frames you're going to get from auger are going to be one of the best ways to keep your turn and continue pressure. But once the auger is plus, it's literally your turn. So you can do the back to auger is one of the best way to get a plus to keep your turn going, which is really strong in the corner. I'll shed more light on the auger later in the video. So always incorporate spaced augers like this in neutral. This, especially in the corner, is so deadly and a really powerful way to keep your turn. So good luck with that. Now, still on the topic of augers, I'm going to talk about the amp auger mind games. As you know, the amplified auger can be flawless blocked, and this actually makes it a strong mind game which allows you to steal turns or keep your turn. For instance, do a 1-3 this. Now the second auger can be flawless blocked into an up 2 or up 3. Some characters do not have the range to reach you, or back 1-2 amp auger. There's a flawless blockable gap, right? So most of the times while the opponent is trying to get the flawless block out, you can actually get more than one turn. There are a lot of times I've gotten away with this against actually high level players. I do a back 1-2 auger, back 1-2 this. So because they are looking out for the flawless blockable gap, I'm actually able to get another turn into the next back 2. So first thing you do this 1 turn, you go up again. That's 2 turns, right? And with the spacing it creates, you could actually get away even after getting 2 turns. You get what I'm trying to say? You can actually, let's say you jab in with the downforce trying to come in. That way you've actually gotten 3 turns. So always think about the amp auger mind game only against high level players that always try to flawless block. And also a lot of players are going to hesitate after the single auger because they're actually scared of getting clipped by the amplification. So that's that. Now something I'm sure everyone knows what I'm still going to talk about while trying to keep your turn are plus frames. For instance, you have +5, Frost actually have nice pressure with all this turn keeping and turn stealing mind games. So at times throw in the +5, gets the amp auger mind game together. Get what I'm trying to say? You can see it all coming together when it comes to keeping your turn. So I hope you get what I'm trying to say. Do this. Let's say for instance sneaking a downfall, get a jump in into your plus frames. You're keeping your turn. You've gotten a lot of turns and dealt a lot of chip damage. So that's that about this. And now I'll move on to the final option under keeping your turn. Now the final point I have for keeping your turn are going to be the poke options. Frost pokes actually make it a bit tricky for the opponent to take back their turns the way they would like to. For instance, I can do a downfall Auger, and this is going to clip them trying to like do a mid or getting by like high approaches. So most characters are going to try to do a downfall, and if an opponent lacks a ranged downfall, you can easily whiff punish that. For instance, let's try downfall Auger, right? So if a Sub-Zero is trying to do the back three, they'll get clipped, right? So by this way, you've kept your turn and stolen the turn, even though you did an actually minus downfall because of the special cancel special you went into. So now the Sub-Zero, a smart Sub-Zero, depending on the distance, would like to go for a downfall. At times, the downfall might be getting outspaced, so they'll do a little dash of downfall. So that's when you can do something like this. You can do a downfall this, backdash back two. So let's see. Or you see, or you just do a downfall backdash back two, because you know they're going to try to downfall because of your Auger. So at some distance, you're going to be able to wave punish downfall like that. Apart from the downfall, there's the downfall into the down back two, a good way to actually keep your turn as well and stop approaching opponents. The same with pokes. Down one, the same with the down ones and the down three. Down one and down three can go into the Auger, which clips a lot of opponents actually trying to get their turn with mids. This is going to force the opponent to get their turn with pokes, reversal pokes. And if you're really daring, you could throw in a down one Auger to stop their pokes or stuff like that. That's that about keeping your turn with poke options. A lot of the times, countless of times I've faced opponents, this happens, especially opponents with a fast mid. They just try to go into the mid and they get comboed. So always think about your poke options while trying to keep your turn. Now let's move on to the next game plan. So welcome to the second section of game plan breakdown, which is whiff punishing / outspacing. Now when it comes to this, as you can see from the beginning, it's related to turn keeping, right, to an extent, because you're going to be implementing some of the turn stealing tactics to whiff punish opponents, obviously. So for instance, I do a back 1-2-1. From all we've talked about, I can do a jump back, a dash back, back 2, you know, trying to whiff punish their attempts to take back a turn. So now let's go to raiding real quick. Let's do Frost. Okay, let's put him to block real quick. So back 1-2-1, dash back 2 into the amplify Auger. So let's see. First one's raiding, go for the back. You see, that's wave punish right there, right? So you're going to be incorporating a lot of preemptive wave punishes. Frost players are really known for doing a lot of preemptive wave punishes. Like this is the range of her back 2 and the range of back 1. So a lot of the times you're going to be doing, like you've seen in the last section, button into Auger, create that weird spacing, then you do a dash back into this, because that's going to preemptively wave punish their turn taking attempts. Or for instance, you do the raiding is going to try a few options here, either the 4-2, 4-3, a dash of back 1, or just back away, right? So you have to have the mindset of always get ready to whiff punish their attempts when they want to take back a turn. And whiff punishing isn't all about turn stealing. Also in neutral, you know the range of your back to right, and you know the Auger, if when amplified, leads into a launcher. So once you get into this range, this Auger back to range, and you yourself and the opponents are walking in the neutral, always have in mind that the opponent might throw out a button, then you can reactionary whiff punish them with the back two. For instance, let's record raiding real quick. So raiding is walking in the neutral, he's getting close to my range, he wants to like do this, right? So you're gonna be smart about it. You see, because you can see, be smart about your range. Okay, I wasn't smart about it there. Then you go into your stuff, or you go into the KB. So the same with if you feel the opponent is really going to try to approach you, at times you could just go for your amplified Auger straight up with the neutral. It's actually a really strong whiff punishing tool, or to clip opponents in the neutral. Trust me, I've done the amplified Auger a lot, and it really annoys the opponents. Another way to wave punish in this game at times is the down one. Poke into a backdash is really sneaky. Her poke is -5, but for some reason a backdash is really strong online. So let's go to rating real quick. Let's record Frost. Record block, right? So we'll do a down one on my block. Let's see. Down one, backdash, back two. So now online, most of the times you're gonna be trying to take back your turn. I don't think that was fast enough, right? So online, a lot of times this is gonna happen. Okay, Radiance down one is a bit hard to punish, but let's use down 3 as an example. So there are a lot of characters that while trying to take back their turn from Frost dash back stuff, especially online, you're gonna get wave punish. So this is also one of the ways you can wave punish. So plus frames, also a way to wave punish, or stagger pressure. So now you go into something like this. You know the opponent is going to try to press, right? 4, 3 plus 3 on block. You do a little dash back into the back one. So when the opponent try to press, they're gonna eat shit for trying to press on your plus frames. So that's how you also incorporate wave punishing into your game plan. So let's do this. A slight back dash back one. I don't know if that was good enough. Yeah, that wasn't good enough. So what's going? Let's try that again. As you can see, that's how it's gonna look. So that's how it's gonna look when you use plus frames to wave punish opponents. Same goes for standing 2-2. You really feel they're gonna try to press the standing, or you're trying to interrupt your plus frames. This +5, right? A little back dash into this works. Or that's not the best example, but you get them trying, especially when they go for the poke. So backdash, this does really well. But your plus, they shouldn't be trying to mash out of it. Although her standing 2-2 into the back one jails, but a lot of the times this is a really amazing way to wave punish them. So that's really all I'm going to talk about wave punishing outspacing. Be at a smart range, use your auger, use your back two, use your back one in terms of little minus frames, trying to like outspace the opponents while they're trying to react to your stagger pressure and stuff like that. So now let's move on to the third game plan. This is all about stopping approaches, backdashes and jumping. Tools most efficient for this are down 1, down 4, back 4, auger, cryo stance, core discharge, forward to an ice quake. Now I'm going to show you some situational examples, then we'll move on to the next game plan breakdown. And now we're on to the fourth number, which is the corner pushback mindset. This is quite a straightforward game plan breakdown. Now, while thinking about this, all you have to think about how to get the opponent towards the corner. A character of Frost that gets plus frames and block from spaced augers in neutral, and Even a spaced back to auger and block is plus, or the amplified augers after string leave you at weird spacing, and an annoying down for hard to check, a move to stop you from jumping or stop you from jumping. Characters like these are really hard to face when you're cornered. You're gonna keep getting outspaced and just destroyed, chipped out in the corner. So this mindset, do everything you can to take them towards the corner. Let's say you get a 1-3 opener, right? You do not have a meter, just do so. Instead of doing this and keep you guys mid-screen, do something like this. This takes them, then you dash up, do blade spin, dash up, anything that can take them towards the corner. For instance, you do a combo, instead of ending in something like this, as you can see, the combo already has a corner carry, right? We're here, but end it something that takes them even further. So do something like this, So now they're so close to the corner, you can come in by trying to do some zoning, some augers, start pushing them towards the corner. Once they get here, it's party time. And her downfall and auger are going to play one of the biggest roles in a lot of matches in taking them towards the corner. A lot of characters struggle a lot to like outspace her downfall. They either jump, right? And because Frost has an amazing down 3 anti-air, and this she can do preemptively, even her augers in neutral can anti-air jumps. So opponents are really scared to jump. So a lot of the times you're going to be pushing them towards the corner with this downfall. At times throwing some downfall into the auger to like clip them, trying to take back their turns and stuff like that. So what this is going to do is going to make them start trying to create space. For instance, I'm spawn real quick. A Frost player does a downfall auger, right? So a lot of players are going to do this. They're going to try to back up. They're going to try to back up after this and like try to get, you see what I'm saying? Because they're getting harassed, they're going to try to back up to create some space into play. So since the opponents are going to always be trying to back up, the downfall is going to be annoying them. You add all this together, add everything together with your corner carry combo, just keep taking them towards the corner downfall, the auger, and this is one of the best moves also as a corner carry. I don't always use this, but for instance, you get to jump kick OS with it. From mid-screen, we're all the way here, right? Even a combo, let's say a 2-bar combo that the opponent cannot break out of with the Auger Lunge, we're right in the corner. So this is a really strong move to like get opponents towards that corner and really get the party started. So I hope you understand what this game plan is all about. Now we're going to move on to the 5th game plan. Now we're on to number 5 in game plan breakdown, which is all about baiting jumps with Frost downfall. From the previous game plan breakdown, we already know the Frost downfall when complemented with the auger are really nice tools for pushing the opponents backwards, right? Apart from that, a lot of characters really struggle to contest with Frost downfall in neutral. Like for instance, 2 characters are moving. Her downfall really clips characters like Liu Kang trying to do the 1-2-3 to get in. Get what I'm trying to say? A lot of characters, especially characters with short range, even against characters like Scorpion, this downfall is really going to irritate them. It's like how Noob Cybor's slide baits opponents into jumping. So as you're irritating the opponents with the downfall in the neutral, you're struggling to get in, struggling to take their turn even when it's down on block. What's going to happen? The opponents are going to resort to blocking. So you as a Frost player, you have to know that once you're at this range, the opponent is going to start anticipating the downfall, and in an attempt to counter, they're going to use a jump in. So let's say for instance, a Raiden player might start going for the jump in the downfall range, something like this. So that's when you as a Frost player should get in that range and just, instead of doing the downfall, just wait and anticipate their jumps to like get into, like they're going to jump to counter your downfall. That's when you just anticipate their jumps and get ready to anti-air that stuff. You get what I'm trying to say? So number 5 in game plan is all about baiting opponents and annoying opponents with downfall so that they'll go for a jump. So that's all for this. Now let's move on to the next game plan breakdown. So now we're on to the 6th game plan breakdown point, which is poke options. At this point in the video, I'm sure you already know that like Frost has poke special options, right? So I'm just going to break it down more. Now let's start with the down one. On block, Frost down 1 is has a cancel advantage of 7. Her Auger comes out in 14 frames. So when you do this as a special cancel, no button faster than any button slower than 6 frames shouldn't be able to beat her. So for instance, of course this is a high, so pokes can always beat it, right? So the first poke option we're going to talk about here is the down 1 Auger, the most famous option Frost players are going to go into. Now the down 1 Auger on block is -10. Of course, a lot of times up close, the Frost player is going to amplify it like they have to clip you trying to press. So what this does is that it stops the opponent from going into highs or mids or throws as reversal options. So now, if a Liu Kang player blocks your down 1, they can't go into a reversal grab, they can't go into back 1, they can't go into 1 to 3, they cannot go into forward 4. So the same goes for the down 1 into the blade spin, and it's safe from block at -4, as you can see. So now the Liu Kang player can only go for a poke, they can't go for a grab or any other thing. So what this does, it establishes a mind game and forces the opponent to always take back their turns with a poke. This opens up the second layer of the mind game, whereby you can see a Frost player going for double down 1s. Why they do this? Because they know that you might be trying to go for a poke. They know the words they can get hit by for mashing their down 1 into poke, because you're scared to go into your throws, highs or mids as a counter. Also at times you might see a Frost player doing down 1 on block into back 1 to 1, because the worst they might get hit by is your counter poke, because they've conditioned you to be scared of this into this. Also, a lot of Frost players, especially online, might do a spaced down 1 into a backdash back 2. What this does is Whiff punish the opponent trying to get their turn. So now that the Liu Kang player is scared to go with a back 1, a reversal grab or whatever, the only thing they really feel safe counter poking Frost with is a poke, right? To avoid getting cleared by the Auger or the blade spin. So now you can do a down 1 backdash. Let's see, down 1 backdash into this. So let's say Liu Kang is online, you can see the Whiff punish right there, right? So if the Liu player is online trying to counter poke and they're a bit slow to react, they're gonna get Whiff punished for trying to do the only option they feel safe with. So that's how the poke mind game works with the down 1, with the Auger and the blade spin. Same goes for down 3 Auger, down 3 blade spin. Now when it comes to down 4 is has better range, but the same thing applies to her. She has the down 4 Auger, which is going to stop options like, let's go to Liu Kang real quick. Down 4 Auger is going to stop options like let's see, down 4 Auger, right? So let's try to do a back 2. A lot of the times that was a trade, right? As you can see, a lot of the times the Liu Kang player is going to be outspaced. So for instance, they're trying to go for a 1 to 3 or a forward 4. As you can see me getting beat out of that, right? The same goes for the down 4 blade spin. As you can see, it's going to beat out the reversal grabs and stuff like that. So now the Liu Kang player is always going to go for a poke as a reversal option. So at times at this range, the down 4 Auger can be jumped at a far range, as you can see. So that's when you should do down 4 into this. So for instance, you space it out, they're trying to jump the Auger. The down back 2 is going to clip them jumping. So if you play it well, you can do, since they're always going to try to do a counter poke option, because you've covered jumping and you've covered reversal grabs and stuff like that. Now they're going to try and do a reversal poke, right? So at times, instead of going to the down 4 Auger or this, you can just do a down 4 backdash back 2. So that's probably going to Whiff punish some players trying to poke, as you can see. Yeah, so that's really the basics of the poke options, and let's move on to the next number. So now we're on to number 7, which is about plus frames and baiting. First, we're going to start with the standing 2-2. Now her standing 2-2 is +5, jails into the back 1. Although some characters can backdash it, so you have to lab against the cast and see what characters can get a backdash out of it. While characters with 6 frame pokes can interrupt you, right? So if you practice this properly, a standing 2-2 is always going to jail into a back 1 against characters that have 7 frame pokes or can't backdash. In the corner, do not worry about the backdash, it's going to clip them. But this is MK11. So players are going to be pressing, especially those with 6 frame pokes. Those who can get off it, going to be backdashing. People are going to hold up. Some players are going to try to flawless block. This is where baiting comes into play. So you can do a standing 2-2. If you read the backdash, the downfall and the sweep are really strong options against the backdash and jump. You really have to practice the timing on this really well. And if you read an opponent is going to mash on you, you can do a standing 2-2 into a backdash down 4, a standing 2-2 into a slight backdash, things to whiff punish down 1. You get what I'm trying to say? Or a standing 2-2 into a back 1, into a back 2 amplify auger. So these are really strong options against opponents trying to poke out of the plus frame. While for those that love to flawless block, which you're going to see in higher level gameplay, you do a standing 2-2 into a back 3, something slower than the back 1. This is going to throw off their timing and at times clip them, messing up the flawless block. Standing 2-2 slight backdash, back to amplify auger to clip them, trying to flawless block this. And one thing that's wonderful about Frost plus frame strings is that they can go into special, the special cancelable. So if you really feel an opponent is going to backdash, poke, jump, or trying to flawless block, just do this. The blade spin is going to clip them trying to move after the plus frame, or you can go into the amplified auger, and the amplified auger is going to clip them for a combo. So you can see how strong baiting is with our plus frames. You think they're going to backdash, sweep, poke. You think they're going to jump, the sweep and poke also does that. You think they're going to poke, a backdash back 1, backdash back 2. You think they're going to try to flawless block, delayed follow-ups like these, or you do it into a special, like special moves and clip them trying to move. Now the next plus frame is going to be standing 3. Let's talk about this real quick. A stand 3 is +4 basically, and you can standing 3 does not gel into the back the 11 frame mid because it can get interrupted by 7 frame pokes. So how you can bait with this, you can just do a standing 3 into a poke if you want to like enforce the plus frame to make sure they can poke out of it, or you do a standing 3 backdash or walk back a little into a back 1. So this is going to whiff punish a lot of pokes. You get what I'm trying to say? That's going to whiff punish a lot of poke attempts. So that's something you should know. For those trying to flawless block, implement the same slow follow-up mind games and stuff like that. You can also do the full string. By the time you've done it, use it as plus frame a lot to get in grabs, back 1 and stuff like that, or standing 3 poke. The opponents are going to try to flawless block and move after it, right? So that is when the full string comes into play. They think you're just going to do this, then bam, the full string comes out and they get launched into a combo. Now, I'm going to talk about the 1-3-2. This is +3 with pushback, so it's really hard to enforce properly. But you could do this into a dash back zoning, this into a slight dash, or just into downfall without dash to clip them trying to approach. You get what I'm trying to say? Now let's talk about the standing 4-3 is +3 on block, which you know they can poke out of, right? If you feel they're going to poke, you can always try your poke first. By the time you've conditioned them with pokes, condition them with special cancels, because they're going to get launched for a combo if the channels poke out of this. Then you can now enforce the back ones and the throws. You get what I'm trying to say? So, or you do the plus frame into a crossover jump, stuff like that. Enforce this into like this. You can see +6. Play around with your plus frames, do the full stuff, bait their flawless blocks with the things I've told you, and that's all. Now let's move on to the next game plan breakdown. Number 8 is all about gap covering mind games. From the strings section of this video, we know a lot of her strings and buttons have gaps. But one thing that's really amazing about her gaps is that she has amazing gap covering tools like the Auger, Blade Spin, even the Microburst, but super risky, her Fatal Blow, and even something as risky as the Auger Lunge, all cover gaps. So let's start with one of the basic gaps, this, right? This gaps leads into a plus frame and an overhead that is -2 on block. So if you read the opponent is going to try to flawless block, let's see, going to try to flawless block. Okay, I can't really show this. Okay, let's go to Johnny Cage real quick. So we'll record this, right? So for instance, I'm Johnny, I try to flawless block the gap. I'm going to get launched for a full combo. And if it's the blaze spin, just get sent far away. If someone does this, super risky though, I do not advise that. You take them towards the corner, or you can throw in 1-3 fatal blow. If they're trying to flawless block, all that is going to clip them. What this creates is make her gaps really amazing tools. So that will let you get away with the gaps on block. Let's put into block real quick. This will let you get away with have dangerous gap filled strings on block without the opponent interrupting you, because they're scared of the mind games. They're scared of getting clipped by the amplified auger and getting a full combo, or just getting hit by this, or even a fatal blow or the microburst. So now let's say another for gap, and let's talk about the back 2-2. This gap is really easy to flawless block, but a lot of the times I do a dash up back to into the auger, because strong players like Macron, Video Game Zero and more, when they try to flawless block this, they get clipped by the auger and I get my full combo. Even this, the overhead here is interruptible and they can poke out of it, right? But if they try to interrupt you with a high, I do this into a blaze spin to cover the gap, or into this. Now they can also go for a poke. At times I do take the risk and go for something like this, because this is going to beat out the poke. That's how you cover gap with Frost. Implement the augers where there are gaps, full combo, implement the blaze spin for a knockdown. If you're really risky, you can do this, or you can go into a fatal blow. So that's all for this. Now let's move on to the next section. And now we're on to Stagger Pressure. When it comes to Frost Stagger Pressure, a lot of her buttons or staggers lead into either gaps or slow follow-ups. This makes them really good staggers. For instance, her standing one leads into a slow follow-up. The second part of the string is slow, so it's a bit hard to react to just the one, because while you're looking out for the slow section, the stagger has already happened. Same goes for 2-2. The second part of the string is slow, so when you do just this, it's a bit hard to react and interrupt that. Same goes for this. It's a bit hard to react. And the back 2-1-2, as you can see, the third hit is a bit slow. So when you do just this, although -7, at times before the opponent realizes a stagger has occurred, you can actually get away with it. Now, we all know her standing one from the button section and her standing two with a lot of crouch blocking opponents in neutral, unless using it as a reversal when the opponent is highly negative, or doing it off a jump in, they're gonna whiff. So a lot of times you'll be getting it off a jump in, standing one, just 0 on block. Standing one throw is a strong option. Standing one back one. Standing one down one if you want to be quick and interrupt them. A standing one crossover jump is strong, and a crossover and a jump kick is really nice on block. You can do a standing two crossover. Let's see, standing two crossover jump, standing two grab, standing two back one. The same options. Standing 4 down 4 is nice. A lot of times they're going to try to poke out of that. This is always good into this grab, this or poke stuff. So many options you can do off the plus frame stagger. But off the negative staggers, especially the back 1-2, -7 creates decent spacing. At times a backdash down 4 is strong. You could repeat it again, although do be careful in case of getting in the situation whereby you get interrupted. What else? That's really all it is to a stagger game. Just know that okay, let's try the ones with the gap, right? So standing 1-3 leads into is a gap string. This is flawless blockable, right? So most of the times when you do the 1-3, the opponent is going to be twitching their block, trying to land the flawless block. That's when you can do a 1-3 throw, 1-3 down 1, 1-3 back 1-2, 1-2, 1-3 backdash this. While they're looking out for the flawless blockable gap, you're going away with more, taking more turns. Get what I'm trying to say? The back one is -8. Also a decent stagger because of the pushback it creates. You can do something like this, down 4, go back, shoot some augers and stuff like that. So nice frame data. Standing 1, 0 on block, +4, 0 on block. Standing 2, -1 on block. Although these are bits highly negative, they do have nice pushback. The back 2, before I forget to mention, -4, does well into this, into the down 1, but even into a down 4 because of the spacing. That's really all for this. Now let's move on to the next section. When it comes to Frost's shimmying game, she doesn't really have a strong auto shimmy because her standing one whiffs on crouch blocking opponent. This really sucks. So since she lacks an auto shimmy, you're going to be doing a lot of delayed buttons and slash throws. So for instance, you get a down one, you go into a throw straight away, or in neutral you can just come in for a grab. You want to open them up with your back one. You can do something like a down one, slight walk forward. A slight walk forward back one is a really strong tool. A slight walk forward back three, another really strong option, and one that really works well for me as well. Slight walk forward back two into the amplified auger to clip them, trying to take. So slight walk forward back one, slight walk forward back three, back two, or even just a back three without the walk forward, or a back two without the walk forward, and also open opponents up trying to take. Now something else I'm going to tell you is her standing 1-3 and her standing 3. Now her standing 3, for some reason, dash up standing 3 clips a lot of opponents trying to take. And a lot of characters that aren't as small as Johnny, the two double hits are going to be on their block. For some reason it clips a lot of opponents. A lot of the time dash up standing 3 is going to shimmy opponents. It's going to look something like this, and you're going to get a full combo. So let's record this real quick. So I'm Johnny, I try to take. It's gonna look like that. Yeah, something like this. Like they're gonna try to take after this. The second hit is gonna clip them, and it's a bit hard to show it with Johnny because whiffing on his block. Let's stand block it. Yeah, it's gonna look like that. They're gonna get opened up. It works so much. Dash up standing 3 is such a good shimmying tool. Then for 1-3. Her standing one with some block, right? That doesn't mean you can choose it to open opponents up as a shimmy. You can do the 1-3. The 3 hits opponents a lot trying to take. And one thing players do not do while playing Frost is confirm into the auger. Why you should do this? Because when opponents are getting opened up by a shimmy, they always get hit by the second path, right? Because they're gonna get hit by the second path, the 3 in the kick, the second hit is gonna hit them. So when you go into the auger, you're going to have 2 hits to hit confirm. So you're going to see something like this. Instead of just doing something like this with Frost and wasting, let's say they get opened up by the 3, instead of just getting that, you can now do this. You have enough time to actually see both the kick and the first auger connecting. Let's just do this. So you're going to see the kick and the first auger, that's 2 hits, right? So now you're going to hit confirm that they've been shimmied and go into the amplification. So it's going to look like this. You go into a full combo. So a dash up 1-3 into an auger is a really strong option. You're going to see the 2 hits confirm into the amplification and get your combos. Now let's go into the next option or the next number. Now we're going to talk about Auger Pressure. First off, let's talk about the gap in this. On block of the gap, especially against high level players, a lot of high level players are going to try to twitch their block and get the flawless block to land their up 3 or up 2, depending on the character they play. So that makes the auger a really strong stagger tool that allows you to take more than one turn in some situations. Apart from that, just the fact that the auger can be amplified does let you get away with staggering a single button into the auger, and you can actually steal a turn because some opponents are going to be expecting the amplification or are scared of getting clipped by the amplification and getting launched for a full combo. Although you have to be careful with how you use this trick because some opponents that have fast reactions are going to interrupt you, so be safe. Now, personally, I do throw Frost Auger a lot in neutral because it does anti-air jumps and it gets more plus with distance. As you can see right here, let's see. This is plus 18. A max range auger also has a KB attached to it. So that's something you should keep in mind. If you're like using augers at this range and they get clipped by it, they're going to get launched for a KB combo. So let's see, this is plus 14, plus 7. The closer you get, the more negative it becomes, right? So a lot of the times off the back two especially, you're going to see a lot of Frost players at high level trying to space out the tip of the back two into the auger, +7, -2. Even though it's -2, considering the spacing and the mind game of the amplification, a lot of opponents are going to have a hard time getting their turn. That's where the whiff punishing comes in. If you go back to the keeping your turn and whiff punishing section, you're going to see the Auger helping in that. So for instance, you do a back to Auger, Knight Swift try to do a down 3. You can do a back to Auger, dash back 2, clip the poke, a back to Auger, down 4, back to Auger, down 1, clip the approach, or the back to amplified Auger, -3 on block. If properly spaced, let's see, -1 on block. You can go back for a zoning, tie your downfall, start. You can even do into back to Auger, +1, more Augers. So in neutral, for instance, you do an Auger like this, see it hits the opponent, right? You know you're going to plus, so you can go into zoning to clip them, trying to deny the plus frames and stuff like that. You could even go into your dive or Auger into the risky forward 2, Auger back 2, Auger in neutral, down 4. You get what I'm trying to say? Now let's go to the corner, because the corner is one of the places where Frost, oh, that's not what I want. I want to take us to the corner, because the corner is one of the places where Frost Auger Pressure really shines. So once the opponent gets to the corner, you're basically dead, because you're going to keep spamming these plus frames. The back to Auger, spacing it out properly, +4, keep getting your plus frames. The risk of the amplification to clip them is still there as well. Down 4, Auger, even mid-screen is really annoying. It has good frame data on block, +9, +7, even up close, -2 with good spacing. You can whiff punish and stuff. The amplification, -4. So for example, you can do a back to Auger, down 4 to clip approaches, back to Auger, the back 2 to clip jump, back to Auger, backdash Auger, back to Auger into Auger to clip movements and them trying to press and stuff, amplified Auger into Auger, into the back 2, or back to Auger, they're scared to press after you've whiff punished in the past, back to Auger, more back to Auger. You get the gist of it. If you go to the whiff punishing and keeping your turn section, you're also going to see things related to this. That's really how you implement the Auger. Space it out where use its plus frames, use the amplification mind game. At times you could do a back to Auger into a jump. It works a lot of the time. Some people even mid-screen. Let's go back to the mid-screen real quick. Some players do this into a jump kick just because MK11 and it does work. And if you have the Auger Lunge that I do have, you could do the jump kick into a jump kick OS and get this. That's all for that. Now let's move on to the next section. Now we're going to talk about the power of Frost jumping and her jump kick OSs. Now because of Frost Ice Quick, aka the dive, one of the most annoying safe dives of the game. Although it's not safe up close like this, you're gonna die. Because of this, anytime you jump back in neutral or even jump forward, opponents are going to be intimidated and they're gonna try to flawless block it or just block it. So anytime you jump back, Frost jumping really keeps opponents in place because you can just throw in the dive at any moment and clip them. Also, this up close, for the Maniac Frost players do dive like this, so that's going to give you free jump ins. Apart from her dive game and jump in being strong, her jump kick has amazing frame data on block, as you can see. Even as high as that was, +2, -2. Let's do a crossover jump. Let's say I do a standing 1, +2, a bit deeper, +4, a bit deeper, +7. So if you get a deep jump kick, you can do a deep jump kick into a back 1. Trust me, it does work. I've been clipped by it a lot in the past. Standing 1 crossover, deep jump kick, +5. That makes the back 1 have a higher chance of clipping, or even into a down 4. Jump kick, down 4. Jump kick, spaced back 2 to clip them trying to do something. This is +7. Even at a bit higher, +3, right? So you could do a +6, +3 into the back to whiff punish them, trying to down 3 you, especially if they are not aware that your jump kick has such amazing frame data. Also, after moves like this, mid-screen and the corner, Frost jump is really strong. Let's go to the corner real quick. It's really strong at clipping them. So for instance, I do this, I jump in, right? Or something like this. and I jump in. So trying to anti-air this is a bit hard. It's a bit sharp to anti-air. So let's go to Night Wolf real quick and record the situation. So something like this, right? I do a jump in and I convert it. It's gonna be hard to convert it right now. I try to anti, but that's not meant to be the case. Let's say I'm slow to the anti-air. That's gonna happen. They're gonna get out their combo. Apart from that, there's a loadout of Frost that also excels with jump OSs. Let's go there real quick. So right now I have my Avalanche loadout. Now the Auger Lunge, from what we've seen in the past, is a really strong corner carry tool, right? So let's remove his block. So while they're trying to anti-air a flawless block and they get careless, free corner carry, nice 200 damage. And when you've landed 3 successful amplifications, you're gonna get the KB, which lets you go into your full combo. You get what I'm trying to say? So there's a free jump kick OS. On block, it doesn't come out. On hit, it comes out really strong. Also, another jump kick OS Frost has that's amazing is her Fatal Blow jump kick OS. Although it doesn't work at some super high distances, okay, it even worked right there. There are some instances where it's gonna whiff. A lot of the time, once you hit an opponent with a jump kick and you have the Fatal Blow, it's pretty much GG to Frost. On block, it comes out. On hit, on block, it doesn't come out. On hit, it comes out. That's all for this. Now let's move on to the next number. Now we're going to talk about Frost resets game real quick. This is possible due to the amplified microburst. Any combo you do into the microburst, leave them in a standing position. What this creates, it allows you to do a follow-up that serves as a standing reset, allowing you to go into either more pressure on block, strike throw, or shimmy opponents and get your crushing blow on so many things. And my favorite tools to use after the resets are the standing one, because on hit is plus 22, very deceptive. You can do a walk up back 3 to shimmy opponents, you can do a back 2, or just go straight into your mid, your plus frames. It gels into all our plus frames, buttons being plus 22, a shot up and so many things. The second tool I like to go for after a reset is the standing 2, plus 20 goes into this. It also gels into this, gels into a lot of options and a lot of pressure you can do after this. Then the third one I like to use is the standing 4. This is really tricky for the opponents. Usually the opponents are going to be walking back, right? And it's plus 21 on hit. So a lot of, it also gels into a dash up 1-3. Dash up 1-3 gels, right? So a lot of times you're going to shimmy opponents with the 1-3. All you can do is standing 1 grab. Standing 1 grab if it's on block. You can go in for the plus frame can also work, but not that advisable. Into a back 1. Into a back 2, they try to press. A lot of the times opponents are going to be trying to press because they feel they're walking back and there's time, but it's actually no time. You can easily gel it into options. Then the third and fourth string I like to use is standing 3-4-4. Standing 3-4-4 is plus 16 on resets. It gels into has a plus frame standing 2-2 on block. It gels into standing 1, back 2, and it's really strong. So you can even use it for like a dash up, dash back, get a KB when they're trying to tech or press and stuff like that. This into a microburst, okay, reset just plus 7, but it's okay. You can usually use the back 1-2 ice auger to hit confirm. A lot of the times opponents are going to be tempted to jump, and you can always confirm into an auger on a jumping opponent. You can also do it into an auger. This plus 9 instead of 7. Some spacing, but it's also a nice reset. This reset is really strong towards the corner because they're backed against the corner, right? Let's see. For instance, you do this, right? This is plus 9. Midscreen plus 9 is a bit hard to enforce properly, but in the corner you can always gel it into a standing 1 or back 1. You get what I'm trying to say? Now let's go back to the midscreen real quick. Now you might think a reset loses damage, right? Let's do a basic full combo first. As you can see, this is 29, basically 30%, right? But if we do a reset, let's do the plus 16 reset. As you can see now, instead of 29, we have 23 basically. So I've lost about 6-7%, but only one throw is going to cover up for that. Even the chip damage on block, let's say I do this, it's going to almost cover up for that. and the fact that you can go into a second combo makes it what it's. Let's see for instance I do this and they refuse to block, they get Lunge again, I do another combo, can even do it into another reset, get plus, after the +2 you go for a throw, the opponent is basically almost dead just from resets. So that's the power of resets. And something I really like about resets is basing opponents to press. Let's do this. So let's say I'm Kunlao player, the Frost does a dash forward, dash back. I use this a lot against a lot of players and it's so strong. Let's for instance they get shimmy, they're trying to press. I'm blocking, I get shimmy, you see? I try to poke right, or I go for a down through, trying to take, or for instance I ready to grab. You see? So that's really strong. So that's really all about how resets. Let's move on to the next game plan breakdown. And now we're going to talk about frost combo enders real quick. A lot of our enders leave the opponents at different spacing. Some set them up for zoning, some set them up for pressure. Now depending on who you're fighting, let's say you get a back one. You know the usual ender is the blade spin, right? You do this. As you can see, the blade spin basically pushes opponents full screen. Let's try it here and see. Oh, sorry. It always pushes the opponent full screen, setting up for zoning, a lot of zoning. Like you can now dash back 2, down back 2, back 4, 3, do your augers. You get what I'm trying to say? Or do a dive to cover the distance. Now her head, that's her armor breaker, also sets the opponent like at great distance, nice for zoning. Something like this. See? Pretty far, +21. And how plus was the other one? Let's see. There's what? Pretty far, +51. You can see great distance. But at times against a zoner like Robocop, even Cetrion, a character you do not want to like send full screen, you want to keep them close by. I do advise the down back 2. Something like this is a nice ender. So the Robocop player is just gonna be in range +33, where you can just start your down 4. You get what I'm trying to say? You don't want to send Robocop full screen all the time with your ender. You can also use something like this. Let's say you do not want Robocop to get that far, +18, then you start to apply pressure. You get what I'm trying to say? Another way to end a combo in the corner, a lot of times the blade spin or augers are some of the most popular enders to use in the corner. The auger is usually +42, plus like really plus. You have enough time to like dash back more augers and stuff like that. Prepare for all this. Get what I'm trying to say? Or dash back to baits to clip a forward row. Although sometimes players use the blade spin as well, also a really popular ender in the corner. Let's try this. Right here, +49. You can always walk back to bait or forward row, stuff like that. You have a lot of time. But at times, something that really throws off opponents is ending with a micro burst in the corner. The micro burst lets the opponent stand up real quick when compared to her other enders. Let's see. As you can see here, this is +18. I can just go into a back this, or this. But what's really crucial about the micro burst ender is how quickly the opponent get up. And this really throws a lot of opponents off. A lot of the time, they're gonna not be prepared to stand up this early because they aren't used to it, and you can clip them and stuff like that. It's really strong. This ender, the microburst ender, is really strong when the opponents have no meter. They're forced into a quick get up into more pressure. So that's really going to be all about combo enders. Now let's move on to the next game plan breakdown. And now we're on to the next game plan breakdown. I'll be talking about proximity OS. When it comes to proximity OS, it's all about pressing a button into something, but it only works at a specific range if the opponent gets into your range of proximity. So now the only proximity OS I really use with Frost is the back two into the back 4 to the cryo stuns. Now this is really helpful against extremely fast characters like a Whiff dashing Fujin or Rain. So what you do, you just do back 2, back 4, 3, you do the full inputs. On Whiff you get only back 2, and for instance in a situation where the Fujin moves into your back 2, or you can use it for normal Whiff punishing situations, you're gonna get this. You can amplify it and get about 187. So that's really the only proximity OS I use. If they can move into that, you get this. And if they do not move into it, so let's say for instance it whiffs, you get only your back 2. So that's really what I use. You can also use it with the Auger, but the only thing is that the Auger does not always combo, if you get what I'm trying to say. But this combos at any range. So if you hit an opponent with the tip of your back 2, it always combos into this. One you might use once in a while is standing one amplified Auger. Not really helpful, but for instance you do a back 1 2 1 2 on block, you can just try standing one amplified Auger. So in this rare situation whereby the opponent gets into this range, you know it's probably gonna work, and this is as indirectly safe either ways, even though there is a gap. So you get what I'm trying to say. I use this at times against Scarlet. You know, at times a Scarlet player might do a teleport behind you or far away, right? And they're gonna whiff punish you if you're trying to punish the telly and they do the far one. So to keep myself safe, I just do standing one amplified Auger. So if the Scarlet did a close telly, I'm gonna punish, or if it's a far telly, I just did a standing one, so I'm pretty much safe. So that's all for this. Now let's move on to the next game plan breakdown. And now we're on to the topic of zoning. Frost has basically 3 major zoning tools: Core Discharge, the Cryo Stance, and her Augers. Now first let's talk about her Auger. Her Auger has plus frames on block. The greater the distance, the greater the plus frames. It's really good for keeping opponents at bay. As you can see, it kind of works like a type of rock wall. If you feel an opponent is going to try to approach you, you throw out an Auger, and it's really annoying. It has decent hit advantage, making it on hit you can always go for a follow-up most of the times. For instance, the opponent walks into this, you can easily go for a follow-up. You get what I'm trying to say? It also serves as an anti-air. It's a really strong space control tool at the mid-range. A lot of the times the opponents are going to jump into your Auger, and you can somehow get a kind of little convection, something like that. You get what I'm trying to say? Or you see, so Auger is a really powerful space control tool at the mid-range. Aside from that, it can also be amplified. It gives you a tool that goes basically almost full screen. Now you might say, what's the use of this? In a clutch situation, you might do something like this while zoning, you get a win. Or for instance, I have the fatal blow. While playing the game, let's say I'm throwing other zoning tools out. The opponent is, you get what I'm trying to say? We're trying to play that game. Our healths are low. I can just do this and get the dub. You see what I'm trying to say? Unbreakable, by the way. If you want to cross check that, let's put him on fast breakaway. You see what's the damage? 350 something damage, just like that. Now let's talk about our down back to the Core Discharge. Now the Core Discharge is a zoning tool that is a really strong anti-air. It knocks the opponent down with decent hit advantage, so it's really powerful for trades. For instance, Liu Kang is shot on the fireballs and stuff like that. You can throw this out as a counter zoning tool, because on hit the opponent is going to fall, giving you time to go in or set up for more zoning. If you get what I'm trying to say, really amazing for trades. Knock the opponent down. A strong anti-airing tool, deals a decent amount of damage. Now let's talk about her back 4-3, the Cryo Stance. The Cryo Stance is nice for clipping movements. It's also an anti-air, has 78 damage. It's really strong for trades if you can get both out. If you get just one to clip, it's gonna do 4% damage. For instance, let's put 14 to block. For instance, you get this, the +1. Anytime you have plus frames, this is really nice to throw out to clip them trying to jump or walk back or dash and stuff like that, or even trying to like counter zone. Now when you amplify it, it gives you 3 mid projectiles, which is going to clip any opponent trying to duck under the first 2, because this is a mid. So that's something to keep in mind. It can also be done up close, although it's very risky and not really advisable, because most of the time some opponents can jump out of the amplification and punish. Now let's talk about zoning sequences. When it comes to zoning sequences, you're going to be including some baiting on frame traps while zoning. Now as you can see, this is it gets the plus advantage increases with distance, meaning you can always clip opponents trying to move, at times with a forward 2, which is risky, at times with your back 4-3. You could do this into this to clip them trying to approach, because you know the frame data on it is a bit hard for the opponent to get it on. That's something you should know about zoning sequences. Your core discharge has plus frames, plus 28 on hits. So you could do a core discharge into another core discharge. You have the advantage. Core discharge into the back 4-3. You might be able to get both back 4-3s out because you're plus 28 on block. You could do something like this mid-screen is plus 7. So you could do this into this, or this into a dive, because you know they're going to try to move and you have the plus frames. That's why a lot of times when I'm zoning with a core discharge, I go into the dive or I do a core discharge into a forward two, because I know I'm plus 7. A lot of times the opponent is going to try to approach, so that's that. I also do you could also do this into this, and something else I do a lot in the corner while trying to keep the opponent in the corner with zoning is this. I'll do this, dash back this. As you can see, this is plus 6, right? And Auger around here is plus 13. So you could do Auger, down back 2 to clip approaches. The down back 2 is really fast up close and really hits a lot of opponent, not just jumping, but dashing in as well. So that's that for zoning sequences. Just be creative with your frames. Know that you have plus frames in this on block. Up close is -9, not plus. Full screen, this is plus 28. On block, this is 0 on block from that distance. Up here, -16, although there's a mind game, right? So at times you might do 1, 2, then throw in something like this. And some characters can jump out of this and punish. So let's go to Fujin real quick. This is another mind game you can play with the zoning. So for instance, you do back 4-3. Let's do the amplified one. So as you can see, 1, 2, 1, 2. This is not the best card to show it. If I have a dive kick or something, it's going to be way easier to show you what but you can see that, right? It's a bit hard to do with Fujin. 1, 2, you get something like that, or you get a conversion, right? Some characters can get a dive. So now, while zoning mid-range with this, you know the opponents might try jumping over to give you a punish. So instead of amplifying the back 4-3 cryo stance or getting punished, you can do this, down back 2, this, down back 2 to clip them trying to jump, or you could do cryo stance into the head. You get what I'm trying to say? Cryo stance into a poke, or cryo stance into an air-to-air conversion. That's really going to be that for zoning. Play use the plus frames, trying to clip them trying to move and stuff like that. Now let's move on to the next game plan breakdown. And now we're on to the game plan breakdown, which is going to talk about movements. Now we've spoken about spacing opponents out, zoning, plus frame, stagger pressure, and all that. Your movement is going to be the icing on the cake, which is going to make everything come together. Now, as a Frost player, it is not compulsory to learn wave dashing, but her wave dash is really nice, which really helps Frost. So let's talk about her backwards movement. Not the best, but okay, decent. Her forward movement is better than the backward movement. Her backward dash is okay. Forward dash is decent, as you can see. And because she's a space control character, it is not compulsory for you to learn wave dashing, but you're going to be using your space control tools and your fire button and stuff like that. But her backward wave dashing is really amazing. Her forward wave dashing is phenomenal. So for instance, you're playing Frost. I'm not really getting it as I would like, but let's say you're going back with Frost now. This is really going to take you far and let you zone. So if you can learn her backwards wave dashing, it's going to be a big strength to your zoning game and getaway game. You get what I'm trying to say? Her forward movement as well is going to let you do stuff like come in for a quick grab. Let's say you get what I'm trying to say? You do some organ block, you like try and move around and you just come in for a quick grab. You're back to, like, her movement is going to play a big game in even in making opponents wave punish. For instance, you're coming in, it's a really fast forward wave dash, which I'm messing up right now. So the opponent is going to try to clip you, right? So you could just do a fast forward wave dash. Let's see, something like this. Oh, why am I messing it up for you guys? Oh, sorry guys. So let's see you do a wave dash. You get what I'm trying to say? Then you walk back. So they're going to whiff something, then you punish. So if you're good at wave dashing, I would recommend you work on a wave dashes a bit. Not a lot of Frost players do it, but it's really nice. So this is going to be on the icing on the cake. From the wave dashing movement, you can now throw in your zoning, throw in your auger, throw in the dive. It really makes you a stronger Frost player. So that's going to be all about this. And now let's move on to other parts of this video. That's really all I have for game plan breakdown. Now we're going to talk about other things which are also really helpful, like combos and stuff. And now we're on to Frost weaknesses. Now her fastest check tool in neutral is usually her down 4. Her fastest range check button is a down 4. So you're going to be throwing this a lot. Or you just go for the dive, which is super risky. And her auger is 14 frames decent. This is 19 frames. On the slower side, but okay for the range. So now you're going to, as a Frost player, you're going to be lacking fast range check buttons that lead into combos. For instance, Scarlet Standing 2 is a 13 frame check. As you can see, this is 12 frames, right? But Scarlet is 13 frame. Extreme is, I think it's 13. I have to cross check that. But Scarlet Standing 2 has a nice range, and it's a launcher that's so fast at this range. So a Scarlet player can just like come in here, do the 2-on-2 and start a combo. But as a Frost player, you can come in here and start a combo, of course, but using a 19 frame mid, which is slow. The same goes for Joker Standing 2 and Forward 2, Johnny Cage's 4-3, Collector Standing 4. All those buttons I've mentioned are highs that lead into a combo and are really fast. So as a Frost player, you're not going to be experiencing that. You're not going to be just like come in and use a fast starter. You have to go in with your slow starter or use the fast poke just for a check. This isn't bad as a range starter, but at times, for instance, a situation whereby both you and the opponent, let's say I'm Frost, right? I decide to go for a back 2. A Joker decides to go for a 4-2. The Joker player is going to beat the Frost player out. So that's how this is a disadvantage. So now to list my weaknesses: 1, lacking true fast starters. Number 2, all zoning tools are highs. This is going to be really annoying in matchups against characters like Frost, Sindel, Melina with the low size. Is really going to be so frustrating facing those characters. So I advise you be patient, flawless block their projectiles, and try to play the mind game with your dive. At times you can use the shield, Iceshield, which I do not have here. Her third weakness is her standing 1 whiffs on a lot of crouch blocking opponents, like I've said earlier. So you have to play smart about that. And as you can see, it whiffs, even the standing 2 whiffs at times, but her standing 1 whiffs on a lot of characters, so you have to play around that. So she really lacks a good auto shimmy. And number 4 weakness, your fastest poke is 8 frames. So against plus frames like Scarlet Standing 4-4 or even something like this, it's really hard to mash out of plus frames with Frost because your pokes are 8 frames. So that's really all about this. Now let's move on to the next stuff. And now I'm going to talk about anti-airing and converts. Now a lot of your anti-airing tools is Frost. A lot of your anti-airs are going to be done with down 3, of course. So that's especially up close or for crossover jumps. The down 3 is super reliable, although it does get beat out at times. Then you're going to be using a standing 1 once in a while, maybe in case the jump is really high. But just use the standing 3, but you can use the standing 1 as well. A standing 4 in super rare situations, if you want to show off. A standing 3 isn't the worst as well, but down 3, standing 1 are really your go-to anti-air buttons. Anti-airing specials, of course, the back 4-3, really strong anti-air. The auger, opponents jump into this all the time. The down back 2, of course, against Cabal, stuff like that, really strong. Then your back 4-3, the armor breaker, down back 3. The armor breaker is a really strong anti-airing tool as well, especially on raid against Cabal. Especially they like to jump a lot. So if, for instance, you read a Jack is gonna jump, these two are really strong. Now when you anti-air opponents, you're gonna see more of this in the combo section, so there's no really need for me to show you the combos. So down 3 for crossover and close jumps, standing 1 for really far jumps, and once in a while you can throw in the standing 3, but there isn't a point to that. Back 4-3, down back 2, and the auger. So those are your main anti-airing tools. Now let's talk about random conversions. A lot of times with Frost, you might get a random hit. Now her down 1, down 3, back one are some of her best buttons and the amplified auger for random conversions. For instance, you jail a plus frame on an opponent, the opponent refuses to block, right? And your down one clips them trying to jump. Let's record, so this is what you're gonna do, right? Let's just record him to jump. As you can see, this guy is jumping right there. So for instance, you get a down one, you can always go into another down one because down one is such a nice button for random converts. Let's say you get down three, go into a down one, this. Down three, down one to your amp auger. You've gotten a little combo for him jumping. Let's say you get a standing two, clip someone on the air with a standing two. You could do the back one. You clip someone with, you can do stuff like that. She has a lot of buttons, really good for random converts. And one thing about her, anything into auger already gives you kind of a little combo when you clip up on it. If you get what I'm trying to say, that's a bit far. It's really hard to get that one, but you know, you get the gist of it. The back one, her down three, really strong conversion tools, and the amp auger. So the amp auger is good in situations whereby you clip an opponent with your string in a situation whereby, you know, let's say opponent is jumping, right? You clip an opponent in the jumping animation on the back one two, trying to get it on right for both back one twos to hit. So something like this, it's obvious your microburst is not going to combo, right? That's why converting weird air situations, the amp auger is really helpful. So you're going to do this. Sorry. You're going to go into the amp auger. Let's keep dropping that. So you're going to do this. The amp auger is really helpful for aerial conversions like that. Let's say for instance you get hit, but they get hit by only the second part of the standing 2-2. To get a combo out of that, I'm going to use my amp auger. It's really hard to get that. Get the gist of it. Let's try. At times the opponent gets hit by just the second hit of the standing 1-3. It has happened a lot to me in games. So something like this. You see the gist. You can also use it into a single auger in that situation, or you do something like that. If they're up really high, well, if they aren't up really high, you can't get some of these, but you can still get the amp auger convert. You could also do something like that. You get the gist of it. So when you have straight conversion, so you keep opponents trying to jump, especially with the back one or your launchers, because the opponent is going to be aerial most of the times, you can go into the microburst. So use this to convert off aerial clipping. Then use this, the down one, down three, back one. Really short converts. Let's record Fujin jumping in real quick on one. Now for instance, I clip the opponent with a straight auger. I can do down one spin, back this. Get what I'm trying to say? Could go for a down three once in a while, but down three is not advisable. So convert auger conversions like this, the down one and the back one are some of the best tools I always go for. Down two is really hard, so you get what I'm trying to say? So that's really going to be all for this. Now let's move on to the next section. When it comes to meeting with Frost, at times I do like to go for the raw auger. Why? Because a lot of the times you can space opponents out and it's safe against all options basically. Let's put this on. For instance, I get this combo right and I go for an ender that leaves them up close. I just go for a raw auger at this distance. If I'm going to say from a forward row, back row, up 3 and up 2s, and if they respect the auger on wake up, I'm going to get plus frames. Now another thing that's really strong against opponents with short range up 3 is the down 4 auger. They are up 3 in most situations, is going to absorb the down 4 while you punish with the auger. Now let's record Liu Kang. Let's put Liu Kang on. No, that's not what I want. Let's put Liu Kang on get up mode on. I'm doing the up 3 game of days, right? So I'm going to do this. Now down 4 auger. I missed the timing right there. I missed the spacing. So as you can see right here, his up 3 absorbed the auger, and my auger his up 3 absorbed the down 4, and my auger got a punish. So this allows you to go for a combo punish against short range and wake ups. I didn't quite get the punish right there. As you can see right there, we got a little combo for Liu Kang trying to go for an up 3. So down for Auger is really powerful against range wake ups, against short range wake ups. You gotta practice this as well. And I'm trying to talk right now, so I'm really messing up the stuffs. Messing everything up. But you get what I'm trying to teach right here. You see, you can get a combo. You get the gist of it. Now, against rolls, your best tool against roll is usually a back 2. At times, you do not need to even walk backwards. Just wait for them to do a forward roll, then you go for your back 2. So something like this. That's so strong. Like, that's one of the best options you can do against forward rolls with Frost. At times, you can also go for the crushing blow. Oh, messing it up. Well, I do this a lot. You see a lot of high-level Frost players punishing the roll with a back 2-2. So let's go to the corner real quick and show some of these examples. What am I doing? Let's see. We're in the corner, right? So let's do this combo. Messing that up. Let's just do something simple. Trying to roll. Let's just do this. You're gonna get a combo. You can also get your KB. So to make the story short, against forward rolls, use your back 2 or even your standing 1 if you're really good with timing. But personally, I love to use the back 2 because it's a really powerful tool, and you also have a crushing blow attached to it. You get what I'm trying to say? Against for forward rolls, use a back 2. For backward rolls, you can also use the back 2. Let's go back to the mid screen. Depends on the situation, but you really have to read that they're going for a backward roll for this to work. Let's say you do something like this, right? As you can see right there, I chased down the backward roll with my back 2. So the back 2 can chase both the forward roll and the backward roll, but you have to have a read in them. While for short range up 3s, you can use the down for Auger, get a combo punished, if you remember what I showed earlier, or just do the Auger when they are knocked down, get plus frames on if they're trying to block, Whiff punish them. Although the wake up is gonna absorb just one Auger, but it's really strong too. Also, the Auger is gonna clip them trying to jump most of the times. And this is another thing I like to show you against breakaway. A breakaway setup, of course, it's not gonna KB right away, but what this does is that against something like this, right, your normal amplified Auger, and the opponent goes for a fast breakaway, right, you can set up for your KB on the Auger. So let's do this. We're gonna do a down 4 Auger. If the opponent is not blocking on their wake up and trying to do something stupid, you're gonna get there for get them and launch them into the combo, the KB combo. That's going to be all for Meaties, and now let's move on to the next section.
Rise up from the ashes, wings on my back, stay lit like a matchstick. We ain't coming back, I swear. Just let go and see what happens. Gotta let go to see the magic happen. They got us a quick change, so we like them in face. I just got a new watch, time to make my wrist ring. And see the world gravity, keep celebrating me. See the ground, so I ain't coming down. So no, I ain't coming down. Rise up from the ashes, wings on my back, stay lit like a matchstick. We ain't coming back, I swear. Just let go and see what happens. Gotta let call this shit a magic capper. They got it for quick change, so we like them in phase. I just bought a new watch, time to make my wrist ring. And see how I'm keeps elevating me.
Brace yourself. I can see the end inside. Three, two, one. Hardwired.
brave. I know you, boy. How does it feel to breathe when you're dead? They've never seen you out of your head. Cut to the bone that's broken up. How sad. How does it feel to breathe when you're dead? They've never seen you out of your head. Cut to the bone that's broken up. How does it feel to breathe when you're dead? They've never seen you out of your head. Cut to the bone that's broken up. How sad.
Cause I know that you got so much more to give. You made it easy. Cause I can go to sleep when I'm alone again. Say you wanna feel surprised. How long should I be waiting? Feels like I've had too much of drama, but I'm not ready to give it. Make it last a little longer. Say you wanna fix the problems. How long should I be waiting? Feels like I've had too much of trouble, but I'm not ready to give it.
Mama said you're meant to burn as bright as a star among the midnight sky. All the pressure blinded me, but now I see I'm no different from the rest. You said I'd fly away, but my walls have kept me down. Now I'm lost and I'm afraid, and I'm close to hit the ground. You said I'd fly away. You said I'd fly anyway, but I keep on falling.
thinking I understand.
You said I'd fly away, but my words had kept me down. Now I'm lost and I'm afraid, and I'm close to hit the ground. You said I'd fly away. You said I'd fly anyway. Keep on
Talk about my top 5 favorite loadouts. The first one I just call it YT Smooth Razor. Basically, this is the most popular loadout used with Frost, and it's a loadout that covers basically every matchup decently. Now you have the Microburst for combo extensions and resets. You have your Auger for the spacing, space control, plus frames and all that good stuff. Then you have your Dive, which helps a lot against zoning. So this is Frost's best loadout that covers the most matchups. Now let's talk about the Tweedy loadout. I have it here as Avalanche. You're going to have your Auger, Lunge, and the Microburst, so you still get your good damage, but now you're going to lack your counter zoning, which is the Dive, right? But I used the Auger Lunge in matchups whereby I want to really take the opponent to the corner, and in matchups whereby diving is a bit difficult, like against Spawn and Johnny Cage. They both have really solid projectiles, so instead of always diving into the projectile, I just go for the Auger Lunge, get my Auger Lunge corner carry. Also, it's a really good jump OS and a really nice tool for taking the opponent towards the corner. Now let's talk about the Arctic Defense loadout. Here I have the Microburst, the Auger, and my Iceshield. Now this is not a loadout I use a lot, but I like it against characters like Kung Lao, where I want to use the shield to like stop their zoning. Also have my combo damage with the Microburst. I have the neutral control with the Auger, with my Augers. So this is one of my favorite loadouts as well, but I only use it in certain matchups, like for instance against Kung Lao's boss saw. Now let's talk about freezing points. Here I have the Microburst, Dive, and the shield. This is one of the least used loadouts for me, but I like to use this against Noob Cybots, at times Cetrion, because trading with the Augers against Noob Cybots slide is really bad. So instead of risking trading with Augers, I just decide to go for a shield in place of that. So use this against Cetrion and Noob Cybot, at times Sub-Zero. Not really the most recommended loadout, but I use it once in a while. Then finally I have my Auger and Cryogenic Crown. This is a set play loadout. The guide for this was not in this video, but it's going to come in the next video. This is all about set play and space control with the Auger. So these are my top 5 loadouts with Frost, and thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one.